Yes, I know, it was a while ago when I put out the polls for today's video. It's just been pretty hectic my end lately. Now I can go into some long-winded explanations, or I could just go straight into the horror characters as Kaijus.
I can't believe she went and won the polls again! Yeah, well, why are you complaining? You weren't even on them.
Can someone tell me when are we going to have another mech armor episode?
Hey, can you all not do this right now? I'm trying to run a channel here.
Oh, back again I see. You here for some more crazy kaiju stories? As if I'd run out of those, LOL. Now there I was, on the phone to my kid cousin, Ashley Sparks. She was raving on about this haunted diner filled with these animatronic monster thingies, and she was getting this real climactic part in the story when, on cue, my boss called. Now I hate having to put family on hold, but there was a kaiju having a smashing time through Georgia, USA. Now we just can't afford to lose Georgia. They got some decent grub over there. So once again, I had to put on my fully armored trousers in the back of an Uber fighter jet. Now I might have to become one of those women who wear their work clothes underneath. Boy, I missed the time when I was that gal who wore a bikini underneath with a bag filled with questionable beverages. Oh, right. Gotta get back to the story. So I was being briefed on the way there. When I was told that the target was a Breitburn, I laughed. The thing's like a Category 1 kaiju, and not even the vicious kind. They just lounge around in the countryside. The things are so mellow, you'd find tour groups taking pictures of them. But then I saw a picture of the one we were after. It was like it had a makeover from Frankenstein. The thing was about 25 feet, so not that much taller than normal. But it had grown a pair of wing membranes like that of a freaking vampire bat. Its strength, durability, and hatred for humans had gone up like crazy, cause this thing was smashing through buildings like they were made of Lego bricks. And that's not even the worst part. This thing was shooting condensed plasma out from its freaking eyeballs. I mean, it was able to do that before as a mild defense mechanism, but this time it was like freaking lasers. They were cutting through city blocks like I'm running out of terminologies now. Let's just cut ahead into the story. I got to the scene and I found my girl buddy Therese at what was left of the city square. Now we had the mutated Breitburn flying over our heads. Therese pelted the thing with her sonic cannon, but it easily corrected its flight path. For some reason, Therese wasn't firing at full power. When I got to her side and asked where Mike was, she just pointed up. And there he was. Astride on the creature's back was everyone's favorite reckless idiot, Mike. The creature flailed through the air trying to get him off, but Mike had like 4 grappling hooks dug into its back, so he wasn't going anywhere. Sure is a good thing he came prepared, because the last time he rode a kaiju bareback, the doctors were only able to save one of his butt cheeks. Oh, I'm going into another tangent again, aren't I? Anyway, Therese explained that the creature's hide was so dang tough that even Captain Zachary with his plasma blade was having a hard time with it. So they came up with a creative solution. While Therese makes a distraction with her sonic cannon, Mike would be inserting micro-explosives in between the scales on the creature's back. Now I was like, that's a good plan. But as soon as I said that, something went wrong. It's not every day something gets past our radar. But this something came bursting out from underground like a whack-a-mole from hell, sending debris flying out everywhere as it did so. A huge chunk of a building hit the Breitburn mid-flight, smashing into its side. The creature came hurtling down to Earth, but at the last minute it corrected its flight pattern, and as it did, its belly scraped across building tops, scattering more debris as it flew back up into the air. I kinda had to take a minute to dodge falling debris, so I took my eyes off the kaiju we were fighting and looked at the new one. And damn, the thing that burst out of the ground. It was like 40-foot mass of scarred, mangled flesh. And when it raised its clawed hand, I knew exactly what this thing was. The Kruger Nightmare Claw. The meanest and ugliest of the Category 3 kaijus. For you see, back in the early days of the war, these guys took Los Angeles and turned it into their nest. And the US government didn't think twice about bombing that city off the map. And that's why you'll find most of this kaiju breed as overcooked pizza faces. So then I went ahead and gave this thing another blemish with my triple-barrel rocket launcher. I fired 3 concussive rounds hitting its face, stomach, and other parts, pushing the creature back a few meters. But that was really all it did. The creature yelped in pain for a moment, and then went into a cackle-like roar as it quickly swiped at a building, sending the top half of it flying towards me and Therese. But then, blam! Right on cue was our Deus Ex Machina, Captain Zachary. One high-powered shot from his plasma rifle had sliced the projectile in half, cascading debris away from us. I'm starting to think he just hides in the corner somewhere just to make a last-minute rescue or something. Our captain pointed up, and I saw the Breitburn, but on his back was Mike dangling from one grappling hook and clearly unconscious. So I called out to Therese, "Code trampoline." She nodded and fired out a few flash grenades in the air, disorienting the Breitburn. I then ran up to her, jumped as high as I could, right in the path of her sonic cannon. On the lowest setting, of course. Just enough to have me airborne. Now, it's not as reckless as it sounds. I have a wingsuit and a parachute built into my armor. But even still, don't try this at home, kids. Now, the creature regained its composure much quicker than we thought and spewed its condensed plasma from its eyes. They missed me by a mile, but carved a crater into the town square, separating Therese from Captain Zachary. But I can't really worry about them now. I fired 3 grappling hooks into the creature's side, but only one of them pierced its scales. The other 2 bounced off. This thing really did have a tough hide. Instinctively, I glanced back at my teammates. Therese was left holding the front line, with our captain providing cover fire. I then looked back at my kaiju problem, who tilted his head and was giving me a dirty look. So in anger, I fired a rocket in its face. Which turned out to be a bad idea because then it swerved uncontrollably and scraped its side against the building as it regained its composure. And I was showered with broken glass. Got cuts all here and there, but nothing that'll leave a scar, hopefully. Now, ignoring the pain I was in, I managed to use my momentum and swung myself over to Mike. I grabbed onto him so hard it was like something between a bear hug and a chokehold. I then wrapped my legs around his waist. In one hand, I cut both of our lines, and in the other, I fired another rocket. This time, remembering the micro-explosives that were implanted into the creature's back. And I gotta say, the explosion was painfully magnificent. The creature screeched as its flaming body fell and hit the ground with a shockwave. I then pulled my parachute and called out, "I'm done here," to my teammates. Looking over, I saw the nightmare claw with plasma burns along its arms and legs. Therese ran up to the thing and fired a continuous sonic blast, pinging the creature against the building, which was buying Captain Zachary enough time to charge his plasma rifle. And I got excited when I saw the seams of his weapon were glowing blue. I knew what that meant. He fired a blue beam of plasma 3 times the size of his normal projectiles. The beam went into the creature's stomach and right the way through its wretched body. It let out a blood-curdling roar that died down to a whimper before its body fell to the side, revealing that the plasma beam had also went through the building, which was now reduced to smoldering ruins.
Hello there, I'm Galahound19, and this here is GeekVault. All your favorite nerd stuff in one place. And if you look here, we even got some of my prints of original artwork, some of which that have not been shown on my channel. So check it out for yourself. I'll be sure to leave a link in the description. Say something for the camera.
Put on the spot. We love having this artwork here, and we can't wait for you to come visit us.
You heard the guy.
So there I was, standing in line at the comic shop when work called, and I was like, "No! I was about to get this limited edition plushie!" But I couldn't really say that to the boss. He's got like the build and characteristics of Kratos. Well, if there was a version of him who was addicted to coffee, that is. Now the big guy was calling out to all available units. We had a category 5 on our hands. So I ran out of the comic shop, somewhere in between nervous and excited. I've been wanting to test my steel against the xenomorphic acid bane, and now I was heading off to fight their queen. You see, where most kaijus are into the basic hunting, asserting dominance, yada yada yada, the acid banes are just outright killing machines. They regularly hunt down other kaijus and bring them back to their queen, where she will eat the weaker ones. And as for the stronger ones, well, she will inject a few dozen of her own eggs through the ends of her twin tails into the bodies of the other kaijus. And after a 6-hour incubating in their body heat, the eggs will hatch, and the newborn creatures will eat the kaiju from the inside. Now, I hunt kaijus for a living, but I can't help but feel bad for them. Having a monster bursting out of their chest cavity has gotta be a lot more painful than a rocket to the kisser. Now, the acid banes are smaller than the average kaijus, but they are fast and versatile. Their hides are pretty weak, but their blood is a corrosive acid-like substance. Crazy, I know, but I once saw a video of this stuff melting a 3-story building like it was made of butter. and I don't think that was AI generated. So I flew over to Vegas to meet up with my teammates, along with 5 other squads. And we devised a plan where
But on-screen plans don't work. You're better off telling us as the story goes on, okay?
On screen? What are you... Never mind. Now, none of us were real gamblers, but we decided to divide our groups throughout Las Vegas. Every queen bee would be surrounded by, well, lots and lots of other bees. So our plan was to divide her forces. And then there's something else with the plan, with something. And I hope that's enough context without it being an on-screen plan. Me and my squad were perched on a building top overlooking the south side when we saw the first wave of those ugly things. So Captain Zachary gave them a warm welcome. With his plasma rifle at full power, he vaporized a few dozen of those things in a blue blur. Pretty cool looking, but the captain has to take a 20-minute cooling period whenever he fires at full pelt. We really need to come up with a better sounding attack name. Anyway, we didn't get much time before the second wave showed up, so I was repelling them with my rockets, but a few of them got through. That's when Therese, with a continuous sonic blast, pinned 3 of those nasty things against a building, allowing Mike to fill them full of holes with his Gatling gun. Aw, they're so cute together when they're murdering monsters. Never thought I'd put those words together. Anyway, they got so distracted with what they were doing, they didn't notice this other kaiju was scaling the building behind them. With foam dripping from its maw, it leapt at my buddies! But then Captain Zachary, with his last-minute rescues, he transformed his plasma rifle into what looked like a futuristic crossbow, with the plasma blade at the end becoming more arrow-shaped. He then fired that plasma arrow thing into the creature's arm, pinning it to the building side, and then gave a slight hand gesture to me to finish it off. I fired 3 rockets into its body, and it burst like a piñata. We were handling them well, at first, but after wave 5, we were running on fumes. There were a lot more of them than we thought there were. With wave 6 approaching, Captain tried powering up another shot, but his weapon jammed, and the rest of us were running low on ammo. Just when things were looking grim, boom! The next part of our plan came stomping in. Have you ever heard of the Predatorius Maximus? It's a rare breed of kaiju that really lives up to their name. Standing in 31 feet with 8 pincer-like protrusions, one stemming from each arm and leg with an extra 4 along its upper body. This creature has a bone-crushing mandible jaw and 6 eyes that were always looking for a fight. So when I saw this guy stomping his way down our end of town, I was really happy! In just one swipe, he took the heads off of 2 oncoming acid veins, then went into plunging its 4 pinchers into the chest of another one and hurling its body off to the side. Now, did I forget to mention that we recruit kaijus into the Kaiju Hunting Club? This charming set of mandibles is called Spike. Some Marines found him as a hatchling abandoned in the Amazon, so we sent a team out there to handle it. But one of our hunters, Nora, had another idea. No idea how she convinced our coffee-addicted Kratos ripoff of a boss, but the creature was instead relocated to an isolated area. And after a few years, they managed to train this thing to fight for us. Well, to an extent at least. It was still doing a lot of damage to the city and hurling body parts everywhere. This acid-dripping kaiju head landed right next to me, just inches away from flattening me. Preferred to think that was an accident on Spike's behalf. Now, after slicing up another wave, we finally came face to face with their queen. And she was 35 feet of ugly, with 8 limbs and 2 spiked tails. Spike lifted a kaiju corpse over his head and threw it at the queen, but she just batted away with her tail so hard that the body split into 2 pieces. Spike then leapt up and grabbed the tail, swinging himself a full 60 degrees before slamming both feet into the queen's face. She stumbled backwards while snarling in pain. Meanwhile, Spike landed perfectly on all 4s, grabbed a piece of debris, and smashed it against her face, at the exact same spot where he hit before. Ignoring the pain, the queen swung her claw. Spike backed away, but then she swung her tail, which caught him by the legs. Spike fell back and landed headfirst into the pavement. She then slammed her foot into his stomach and tried stabbing both tails into his head and side. But Spike caught both of them in his claws and then plunged his remaining pinchers into her foot. Both combatants were now pinned. The queen's monster minions tried rushing to her side, but we kept them at bay with our firepower. One of them got within inches to our boy Spike, right before I blew his head off. I then yelled to Spike, "You got this!" Not sure if he understood me or not, but he then ripped the queen's foot right off. She let out an agonizing roar as Spike knocked her to her side, pinning her down by the head by one claw and still holding her tail by the other. He then plunged the end of her tail right through her skull. The rest of the kaiju pretty much ran off. We blew up the queen just to make sure she was dead and gave Spike a treat.
Wow, putting this together was a bit of a challenge. I'm happy with the results, and if you're happy, then like, subscribe, and suggest whatever character you want to see as a kaiju. And how about checking out my collab video with Kingpin Creations? Or go watch my latest video. Now that's it for today. I will catch you all next time, which will be a FNAF Deviant reaction video.